Hello and welcome. I'm Barbara O'Neill. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of itchiness, redness and irritation that just won't go away? For so many people, eczema and psoriasis aren't minor annoyances. They're exhausting, relentless conditions that affect sleep, confidence and even daily life. And while ointments and pills may offer temporary relief, they rarely address the deeper cause. But there's hope. Nature gives us powerful tools, simple remedies and thoughtful choices that can calm your skin, reduce flare-ups and bring back comfort without the side effects of harsh medications. Today I want to show you how. And skin is very important. Remember what skin does? We've looked at that in a few other presentations. It breathes, which means it cannot be blocked because it's breathing. And apparently when they painted the model for the James Bond movie Goldfinger, they had to paint the front part of her gold and film it, wash that off and paint the back part gold and then film her, because you can't cover the whole skin or the person will die. It breathes, the skin breathes. So be very mindful to allow your skin to breathe. The skin also throws off waste. Another reason why the skin should be allowed to have as much air and probably play, I suppose, as much as possible. So be careful what you're putting on the skin, because it can inhibit its ability to breathe, and it can also inhibit its ability to throw off waste. And the skin also absorbs. Another reason why we should be careful what we touch. I was consulting with a lady, she was only in her early 40s, who'd had a stroke. So I was immediately intrigued, why did she have a stroke? She's a chemist or a pharmacist, and she was from one of the Caribbean islands, and she said she mixes all the tablets up together with bare hands. So the chemicals from the tablets are all going into her hands. The same thing happened. I met a vet once, a vet nurse, and she did the same thing, and she had major liver problems. You see, the skin absorbs, so one must be very careful as to what one touches and also what one puts on their skin. But what I want to target in this presentation is two sadly very common diseases today called psoriasis and eczema. Eczema is usually the name given for a baby or a child, and psoriasis is usually the name given to the skin disease in the latter years. When I say latter years, I don't mean the elderly years, I'm probably meaning latter past teenage years. So getting into the 20s, 30s, 40s, it's often called psoriasis. And I've seen many people suffer extremely with this. And again, we need to know why. Because remember Newton's third law of motion, that to every action there is an equal and an opposite reaction. So as I go through this presentation, looking at some of the causes, I'm going to be using a couple of stories of people that have come across my path and the factors that came together to cause their psoriasis. And I'm also going to be, as I weave through these stories, show you how they totally conquered it. Did you hear that? Every case of psoriasis, eczema that I have come across, they have been able to conquer it. Why natural remedies work. When it comes to your skin, the answers aren't always found in expensive creams or prescriptions. In fact, healing often begins with the simplest changes: what you eat, what you wear, and even how you handle stress. By learning to work with your body instead of against it, you can shift from constant irritation to lasting relief. They read the book by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride called Gut and Psychology. And they looked at the role that the gut played in diseases in the body. And they decided to do a vegetarian version of her diet, which is just soup. So what Matthew did, he eliminated all grain. And right in the middle of all this, he came up and worked for us on our property for a couple of weeks. So I knew exactly what he was eating. So he would have this big pot of soup, and he'd put beetroot and he'd put carrots and he'd put pumpkins and sweet potatoes and lots of celeries and greens. He also kept away from the nightshade group of vegetable, which is bell pepper, tomato, eggplant and white potato. So that was what was in his soup. And he ate 2 bowls in the morning, 2 bowls at lunch and 2 bowls at night. Now he was also eating with us, so we'd have the legumes that we have, and he'd have some salad, and at lunchtime he'd have some of the cooked vegetables we were having and some of the legumes, and he always walked out the door with a handful of macadamia nuts and a carrot. That was his dessert. And his eczema totally cleaned up. He said for the first time in his life, it totally cleared up. But it took a couple of months to do that, since those other foods were out of his body. He always had a long blonde ponytail. Well, he's cut his hair short, and that helped to clear up the eczema in his scalp. His story is quite remarkable, because it shows how changing different foods helped him to manage it. But what he also had to do, he also had to go on an antifungal diet. So he had to get his sugars right down. Now, when he was living with me, he did not eat any grain and he did not eat any fruit. Now, it's probably 10 years later today now, and Matthew eats fruit, and Matthew eats a little wheat, and Matthew eats some oats. But can you see that while he was conquering it, he totally eliminated that? So a lot of people have found that just eliminating the wheat and the oats and the peanuts and the dairy and the refined sugar, that is enough. But he'd got quite a bad dose, and after reading this book about eliminating all the grains, he got total victory. Food is medicine or fuel for flare-ups. What you eat plays a powerful role in skin health. Certain foods fuel inflammation and fungal overgrowth, both of which aggravate eczema and psoriasis. Sugar, refined carbs, pastries, white bread and fizzy soft drinks feed the problem. Even cheese, mushrooms and fermented products can worsen fungal-related skin issues. On the other hand, a clean, balanced diet rich in whole foods helps reduce inflammation and supports the body's natural healing process. By choosing wisely, you give your skin the environment it needs to repair itself. What we're going to do is we're going to make a list of what to do to conquer psoriasis. So to conquer psoriasis, we're going to go through the laws. Pure air. Now, I think it was in about at least 2 of his most serious outbreaks was when he had exposure to mold. But it's not just getting away from the mouldy house or the mouldy environment, it's also taking steps so that it can be eliminated out of your body, because now we've got to get it out of the body. So pure air, so no mold exposure at all, no chemicals. These are poisons to the body. Number 2 is sunshine. Now, another lady told me this story. Her child had eczema. They went and lived by the beach for the summer. And every day her little girl would wash in the sea and she would lie in the sun. And she said her eczema totally cleared up just with the fresh seawater and the sunshine. Now, the sunshine is important on the skin, but if the skin gets too hot, it can get itchy. And if it gets itchy, the person's liable to scratch. But remember, ice. Have the freezer full of ice. Ice is the best anti-inflammatory there is. When you scratch eczema, it feels good, but when you scratch it, you're actually calling more blood to the area, which feeds the redness, which feeds the inflammation, and you keep scratching, you can break the skin, and then of course it can get infected and you've got a whole other big problem then. The sunshine's important. Maybe after you've had a sun, then you do the ice. So within reason. Within reason also, if you've got light skin, of course you don't want to burn your eczema, then it'll be even worse. So a little bit of discretion is needed there. Number 3 is temperance. Now, temperance means not taking anything into the body that will harm it and taking in moderation the good things. So we're going to look at the nose. There are some things that must be totally stopped, and that is wheat. If someone has eczema or psoriasis, I suggest even the ancient grains initially stop. And when it's conquered, then go on the ancient grains, but it's best to stay off the wheat. But as my son-in-law Matthew, he says he can handle about a slice of bread 3 days a week. That's about all. But he said that he cannot have it every day. He can have a slice of bread here, and after 2 days he can have another slice. He will not get a reaction. But if he said if he does it every day or has more than one at a time, he gets a reaction. Now remember, this is Matthew who's conquered it. He's conquered it, and now that he's conquered it, he can have a little now and then. But initially, no wheat, no dairy. And also no oats and no refined sugar. And one of the reasons peanuts is not good is because they're commonly tainted with mold. In the book, The China Study, in his research, he found every jar of peanut butter had mold in it, had the aflatoxin in it. So they must stop. So the moderation, all good things. So moderation, and I would say that the moderation in the foods would happen after the healing has happened. When the person is healed, then they can start to have the ancient grains. And the ancient grains are kamut, enkenhorn, spelt. There may be a few others, but they're the main ones that are the most common. Chemicals and fabrics. Your skin is in constant contact with what you wear and wash with. Harsh detergents, synthetic fabrics and chemical residues can irritate sensitive skin. A simple shift to biodegradable, eco-friendly detergents or even baking soda can make a remarkable difference. Drying clothes in the sun naturally purifies them, reducing hidden irritants. And when it comes to clothing, natural fibres are your best friend. Cotton, silk, wool, flax or hemp. They allow your skin to breathe and reduce irritation. If cost is an issue, second-hand stores often carry high-quality natural clothing at a fraction of the price. And that's sleep, 8 hours. 8 hours for adults, 10 hours for children. So adults, if you're not used to 8 hours sleep a night, I've got some good news. You can retrain the brain and you can get used to it. And once you start experiencing these longer hours of sleep, you will be convinced. You will feel so much better. So the sleep's important because that's where the body is recharging, that's where it doubles its healing powers. Number 5 is exercise. Now the exercise, probably the best exercise for anyone with psoriasis is swimming in the ocean, nice and cool. As you warm up, you've got your nice cool water on you, because if you do the high intensity interval training out not in the water, so on an exercise bike or out running up hills, as your body heats up, the psoriasis gets really, really itchy. So if possible, find a creek or a dam, or unfortunately, the swimming pools of today often have a lot of chlorine in them. The salt water would be the best. So if you cannot swim and you have no access to the pools, my suggestion is maybe the exercise bike or the rebounding, because the body must exercise for it to have enough oxygen to be able to heal effectively your whole body. And then straight after your exercise, just have a 10-minute cold shower. And that'll just cool that skin. That'll cool that skin right down. Managing itchiness after exercise. If you've ever noticed your skin itching more after exercise, you're not imagining it. Heat and sweat increase blood flow to the skin, which can make it more sensitive and reactive. To calm this, apply an ice pack wrapped in a cloth for 15-20 minutes. The cold reduces inflammation, numbs the nerves, and provides real relief without further irritation. Water. Water's vital. Water keeps the skin supple. And the rule of thumb is to 50 pound, one quart. So that's 4 glasses to 50 pounds. So for a 100-pound person, they should be having 2 quarts. So that's a good rule of thumb, and that also helps to know how much the children should have. And when you have that water, also salt. So your whole salt, which is your Celtic salt. Himalayan salt is not far behind that. Over the day, little by little by little over the day. Just in case you didn't catch this one earlier, I wake up in the morning, I have half a glass of water. I go to the bathroom, I have half a glass of water. I pray, I have another half glass of water. I get dressed, I have can you see what you're doing? By the time I go on my morning walk or my morning exercise, I've usually had at least 3 glasses. And when I get back, I have another glass. So I usually aim for 4 glasses before breakfast, which I can. As a rule, I wake at 5 and eat at 7, so it's easy. And then I don't drink again probably for about 2 hours after I've eaten, and then I've got a few hours before I have lunch at about 1:30. And then I have a couple of glasses after lunch, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, because if I have too much water, I don't want to be up at the night. So that's just me. And so I usually average, I'm 100 pounds, so I average 2 to 2.5 quarts a day. So if you're not used to drinking water, start slow and little by little build it up. The power of hydration. Water is one of the simplest, most overlooked remedies for eczema and psoriasis. When you're well hydrated, your skin stays more supple, less itchy, and better protected from irritants. Water also helps your body flush out toxins, lowering inflammation and supporting the immune system. In short, every glass of water is a step toward healthier skin. Your liver herbs are important to boost your liver because your liver is the orchestrator of everything that's happening in the body, and your liver is the detoxifying agent when there's been mold and chemicals coming into the body. And there are herbs that are particularly powerful for the liver. One is dandelion. So if dandelion's growing around your house, you can finely slice it and thread it through your salad. It will be bitter, but if you've got some lovely avocado and sweet hearts of lettuce in there, a little bit of bitter I actually think is quite pleasant through the sweet vegetables. And Mary's thistle, we'll call it milk thistle. It is St. Mary's thistle, but a lot of people know it as milk thistle. And gentian. Gentian is a herb that is a very bitter herb. It's a root. It's not that well known. Now, these are very bitter herbs. So a lot of people choose to take them in a tablet form or in a capsule form 3 times a day. Because when you boost the liver, it boosts your skin with its healing, and it boosts detoxifying some of the things that have contributed quite possibly to the psoriasis that you are experiencing. Remember, genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. I've had some people say to me, I am not prepared to give up this. So what I say to them is, I understand that, but let me show you some alternatives, and it's not forever. You see, some people look at this and said, I can never have peanuts again. No, it's not just until you heal. And when you heal, you can, if you heal and then go straight back into all of that, it's quite possible it'll all come back. So that's why you're the doctor then. You use your discretion. And what you'll find is once you've conquered it, you could probably have a little bit of that now and then, and your body will say yes, or it'll say no, or it'll say just a little bit. No man can tell you what your body can tell you. Something else that's happening is your skin is an organ of elimination, and you have 4 organs of elimination. So it's vital, and I'm going to rub some of these out too, because this is part of the medicine. It's vital that you make sure that your other organs of elimination are working properly. So that is your skin. We've talked quite a bit about the skin. and that's your natural clothing, making sure that anything you put on your skin is natural fibre or natural creams. And if you do put anything on the skin, you can try the aloe. Aloe vera can be very soothing to the skin. You can try it. What some people do, they'll try a patch there, they'll try the coconut oil somewhere else, and the coconut oil can also be applied to the skin. But what I have found the most effective is ice. Ice kills the inflammation, kills the itch, and allows that skin to heal. The other organ of elimination is your kidneys, and your kidneys need you to be drinking a lot of water. If you're 100 pound, try for 2.5 quarts. Bring it up if your weight is more. So 1 organ of elimination, 2 organs of elimination, and the main one we're going to look at now is the colon. So the colon should be evacuating ideally 3 times. If you're eating 3 meals, it should be 3 evacuations a day. If you're eating 2 meals with a very light supper, probably twice a day. So how can you encourage that? Most people find that once they start implementing all of this, the colon starts to evacuate a lot more effectively and regularly, especially these little chia seeds and flax seeds. They're very good at stimulating the colon to start moving more. And as I showed a little bit earlier in the week, squatting to go. So you can buy something called Squatty Potty that puts a little stool around the toilet and it keeps your knees up. And when you squat, it opens the last part of your colon so you can evacuate with ease. When you stimulate the liver to detox more effectively, supporting detox pathways. Your skin is one of your body's main elimination organs, but it should not be the primary one. If your colon and kidneys are sluggish, toxins get pushed out through the skin, leading to flare-ups. Supporting these detox pathways lightens the burden on your skin. Adding flax seeds or chia seeds to your diet can gently stimulate the colon. Using a small stool to elevate your knees while on the toilet can also improve elimination naturally. By helping your liver, kidneys and colon do their jobs more effectively, you reduce the pressure on your skin to take over the task. So what have we learned? That relief from eczema and psoriasis doesn't have to come from harsh medications or costly creams. True healing often begins with simple, natural steps. Managing stress, eating wisely, choosing natural fabrics, staying hydrated, and supporting your body's detox systems. No matter how long you've struggled, there is always hope. Small, consistent changes can restore balance, reduce flare-ups, and help you reclaim not just healthier skin, but a healthier life. Thank you for joining me today. If you found these insights helpful, I encourage you to take them into practice and see the difference for yourself. And if you'd like to share your own experiences or ask questions, I'd love to hear from you. Here's to healthier, calmer, more comfortable skin, naturally,